Hi there. In this video I'm repairing a Jaguar XJ40 rear shock absorber top mount for my son. On the end of this video I'm going to drop on a couple of clips of big planes landing at Heathrow Airport for no particular reason, just I thought they looked nice. My son was there yesterday in that area picking up some wheels for his Jaguar, which he got a very good deal, but it was about a 400-mile round trip. I've got a small job to do for my son, just an odd job. This is the strut top rear from a Jaguar XJ40. So he's changing the rear shock absorbers, and guess what? There's a sleeve that goes on the top of this shocker that goes through there. But when that bush collapses, this rubs on the edge and wears right through. Look at that. So this is the repair. He said there was a knocking. I mean, he knew as soon as he bought it and drove it. He bought it from a friend. It wasn't expensive, the car, and he knew there was a few things like this to do. But honestly, look at that. The thickness of this plate is 5.5 mil, and the size of the hole diameter is 14. And look, I just found something straight off that will do that. So if I chamfer this a little bit, which will give me something to weld into, and cut it at 5.5, part it off on the lathe, that'll do. And then I'll have to make up this rim, not quite sure how yet. I'm not sure when this bit of video is going out, but I'm using the external jaws because I tried to true up my internal jaws on the surface grinder, and at this point I've completely messed them up. So I've got to get myself out of that problem. So for the time being, these will have to do. Well, I've packed it up from underneath, so if I just do a TIG tack just there, I can take the packing away and then just bend it into the place I want it and then finish round. I'll still have to do a bit of grunt work to cut that off there. I need to look out for some shell mills. If I had a 1-inch shell mill, I could have plunged straight in. But I'm having to do it the hard way. Now to build up this wall here. Repairing this upstand rim has proved to be very difficult. As I tried to work on it, it was just melting back all the time. I tried to put in a metal filler piece and that just burnt away, and I couldn't get in with my torch very well because of this and other parts. So I've had to build it up to make it solid, and then I'll just have to machine it away. It's not too bad on this side. Here's the setup. Morse taper 3 adapter, annular cutter adapter, 2 cutters, one for the inside, one for the outside, making that diameter. This seems to be cutting quite easily. This is a 1-inch cutter. This is 26.5, so I need 1.1 millimeters off yet. So whilst we're working on this inner hole, we'll put the boring head on and just finish it to size. Well, the principle's fine, but there's too much unevenness on the cut and it's chattering like crazy. So I'm going to use the boring head to trim off most of this. It'll be a slow process, but I think it's the only way, assuming of course I can get my boring head cutter in this groove here. We've suffered a mishap. I wanted to cut an external diameter with this boring head, and I had no idea that this part was screwed into this part. So I was running it what you might call backwards because I don't have any tools the other hand. And of course, heavy cuts, this unscrewed, wound the tool into the work. The work was thrown off the back, no damage, but I've smashed my tool. What a nuisance, because I don't have any other handed tools, you see. I don't know if they even make them. I should look out for some though. Yeah, you can see the braze is broken and the carbide's been pulled off. What a nuisance, but I've still got all these. Well, you might wonder, why am I putting so much work into this? Because you could just buy another, couldn't you? Well, you could, but it's £200 or 250 US dollars. So I think it's worth the effort. So I'll just take this in stages. This is a 2-inch cutter and we just reduce one after another. I can't get this to work. The steps in the sizes are too large and we're getting too much vibration. So with this, now I think about it, I knew full well that that was screwed into there because I screwed it in, because I had that separate from that. I've had a look online. I can't find any cutters which are the other hand. They just, it seems like these are made to just make holes and not to cut round the outside. Hence name boring head. So I'm going to drop a bit of TIG here and here. And then if I ever want to separate these, I'll just grind the bit of TIG off. And then we'll run it in reverse like we were. One side, other side. Well, I've removed most of this, but the problem is I've got this shelf here and I can't get past this using the boring head or the annular cutters. They get hung up on this, so I'm going to cut it manually with an end mill and just using the XY table feeds. It's a bit like that game where you have to pat the top of your head and rub your tummy at the same time. That'll do. There's just a big rubber cushion that sits on there, so any difference will just be absorbed. I'm over fussing this, of course, as usual. I still had to go back to the boring head to finish it because the vibration became too severe and I got nervous. Now, there we go. So all I've got left to do is to machine off the top of this. I could file it, but we'll set up a cutter and take the top off. I said to my son, oh, it's nothing of a job. I'll have it done in 5 minutes. Well, I might have done if my welding had been a bit better on this edge. It's not looking bad though, is it? Just needs filing around here to clean it up. Maybe give it a clean and a spray of paint. It's got to be worth a few coffees, hasn't it? Well, that was a total pain in the behind, wasn't it? If I'd been able to weld that rim, it would have been a simple job. And maybe as well, if I'd had a mill with a quill, I could have put the head at an angle and just machined straight down, clamping this to the table. Instead, of course, we had all that vibration and trickiness. Anyway, it's done. That's the main thing. Thanks for watching.